Hello everyone, welcome to another Flesh and Blood video. The last class getting new cards and heavy hitters is Warrior, so I thought we should take a look at the last of the three original heroes theoretically getting new cards and heavy hitters. This video will be on Dorinthea. Dorinthea, if you don't know, is a 4 intellect, 40 health hero. She has the effect, whenever your weapon attack hits, you may attack an additional time with that weapon this turn, and then it's a once per turn effect. She wants to use her main weapon, Dawnblade, which is a 1 cost 2 attack for 3. It's a two-handed sword. When it hits, if it's the second time it hit, you get a counter, and at the beginning of your end phase, if Dawnblade did not hit, you remove all counters. So you want to make sure you land your attacks with your sword to stack it up. It's a pretty upfront game plan of I'm going to swing with my sword, you're going to block the sword, or I'm going to hit with the sword. It's very basic, but still it has a lot of tricks in it since Dorinthea does get to play a lot of attack reactions. You do need to give Dawnblade go again somehow to actually get to use Dorinthea's effect, but that's just half of the game that we're planning on playing. The other Dawnblade in the Dorinthea versus Reinhard decks isn't as good as original Dawnblade. It's not in this list, but I just want to say now, I think if we ever have room in the future, it could be an option for stacking counters, just thing like Glistening Steelblade, because that can't lose its counters. But for now, we're in a format where it's very aggressive. There aren't too many decks that will be able to block Dawnblade every turn efficiently, other than just normal play patterns playing against Dorinthea. So normal Dawnblade is definitely the choice here. For our equipment, Crown of Providence is the easiest choice. This lets us do everything because every hero can play Crown of Providence pretty much. The Warrior helmets aren't really the best. The actual Warrior helmet we have doesn't really do much, and we can't make use of gold for Crown of Dominion. Courage of Bladehold is here. Sort of similar to why Fi plays Flamescale Furnace, although Courage of Bladehold gives us just 3 attacks with our sword. So we'll use this for 2 block, and then we'll have a turn where we have a few go-agains, maybe a Twinning Blade, plus like a Glistening Steelblade or Steelblade Supremacy. Some really big turn. We'll pop it to make our sword free, and then just go off on that turn. We are also playing Tunic in this list though, and you don't need Courage, you could just play Tunic and that you'd probably be fine. Iron Song Versus. This is a newer glove from Dusk Till Dawn. It is a more up-front type of effect compared to Braveforge Bracers, where that guarantees you get the +1, but only if you've already attacked. Iron Song Versus lets you threaten your first sword attack, and then if you land it, your second sword attack gets 1 stronger. So a very strong tool given to Dorinthea. And then finally, Refraction Bolters, just because they're another go again effect that we really care about, as well as being 1 block. The other equipment in our deck are Tunic, as I already said. This is good for matchups we want Oasis Respite and Steelblade Shunt, so we don't have to spend a card from our hand to play. Nullrune Gloves for our Arcane matchups, and Nullrune Hood in case we're against Wizard, since Crown of Providence doesn't really do much. No Shoes, because we want to keep our Refraction Bolters, because they're a go-again effect. And no Chest, because, I mean, we're on Oasis, so we're going to bring in Tunic to be able to play that if we need it, and because 2 AB is probably enough right now. I don't think 3 is as necessary, but if you're finding room for a third, probably go for the chest, because I do think that these shoes are pretty important to your game plan, having that go again effect all the time. Moving on to the main board, we only have one attack in the main board, so we'll start with that. One of Nourishing Emptiness, just because it can give us a easy 5-card hand and it's a good dominate attack. I've seen some lists on Pummel. This one is not on Pummel since the only 2-cost attacks are Nourishing and our CNCs in our sideboard. But Nourishing, I think, is just too good not to play one of in a deck like this. This could change. Warrior could get some really good attacks that we want for Dorinthea inside of heavy hitters, but for now, Nourishing is really strong. Other than that, Dorinthea's cards are mainly split into 2 types, attack reactions and normal actions. We're going to start with the normal actions first. Red Sharpened Steel is just 0 for +3. The blues, I think, see play sometimes, but if we're going to only be giving a +1 pump, there are better blues we could be playing, like Iron Song Versus, but we'll talk about that. Spoils of War is a go again effect. The copper really does not matter, but it's a 1-cost +2 go again, which makes it really strong. Steelblade Supremacy is one of our power cards. On big turns, this can let us go deeper for more actions and reactions. A really strong tool. This one pumps up our weapon for the entire turn, something that a lot of our other effects don't do. Warrior's Valor in red and blue, because it's another go again effect. This is a blue pump we actually don't mind because it is a go again. And 4 is a breakpoint. Glistening Steelblade is another go again effect. This one hopefully will get reprinted in heavy hitters in the expansion slot because it's only from the Dorinthea versus Reinhardt decks, but this is an extremely strong card, having go again and letting us have a more threatening stack turn for our Dawnblade. Iron Song Determination is Dominate, which works for the entire turn, making it a very strong card towards the end of a game. Emboldened Blade is a new card from Bright Lights. This lets us look at our opponent's arsenal, pretty much a blue CNC, although it's not as good as CNC. This can get D-Reacts out of our opponent's arsenal they may be saving, as well as just let us see it so we know what it is. Other than that, it's a blue block 3. Sometimes we get the +1 power, but it's really just here for being a blue block 3 with some upside. 3 Hit and Run. This is just a blue go again effect. The pump on it isn't really that good. We're not on the reds because we would have to play this second to get, like after our first attack, to get the pump, so just the blue for the go again. And Precision Press because it also gives us go again for 1 resource. And the piercing is sometimes good, so it's not bad. And then 1 E-Pot main board because sometimes you just need the E-Pot to set up for a bigger turn. Now moving on to our reactions. Iron Song Response is the reaction most people should know. Dorinthea's reactions most of them use a mechanic called Reprise. Reprise is if the defending hero defends with the card from their hand, you get to pump or get some bonus effect. So this gives +3 at red. We are playing the blue just because it's a good blue. This is a very good card. But this is one of our premier attack reacts. Out for Blood is a 1-cost that always gives +3. If we have Reprise, our next attack gets +1. There is another option for this spot, but I prefer the Out for Blood just for its pump on our next attack potential. A little similar to... Is it in this deck? I guess a little similar to Hit and Run, but this one's more consistent at doing so. Actually, a little similar to Iron Song Versus in that thought, letting us give our next attack +1. We have 2 red and 3 blue overpower. The blue overpower is here just because it's a +4 pump at blue, but the reds are here because these are a +6, which is really strong if we can get the reprise off. Route at only 1. I suppose you could play a second if you wanted, but you really only need this towards the end of a game. It's a 2 mana +3 pump, and if you trigger Route, you can return a defending non-equipment to its owner's hand. Run Through is another go again effect that also gives us +2 power on our next attack. Just a good extra go again effect. Singing Steelblade is another Dorinthea spec, which makes the 3rd in this deck, and there's actually a 4th, but we're not playing it because it's not good. This gives +1, and if we trigger Reprise, we get to search our deck for any attack reaction, banish it, and we may play at this chain link. Use this Reprise to get things like Glint to get Go Again, get things like Run Through for Go Again, or just get an incredible amount of power with things like Route and Overpower. This card is why we only need 1 Route in our deck, because as long as it's in our deck, we can always tutor it out with a Steelblade towards the end of the game. We can also get something like a Twinning Blade, which lets us attack an additional time with our sword. We're only playing 2 of this because I find 3 isn't always the best choice, so this is a very strong card. We do need a go again effect for this to work, but we can play around our opponent massively overblocking our attack by just playing Twinning Blade, giving it go again with some go again effect, and then just coming in with a sword again. And our opponent can't do anything about it because they just spent their whole hand. The last reaction in the deck is Glint the Quicksilver, just because it's a really good blue, that it's a free go again effect, and we get to draw a card if we trigger Reprise. Finally, let's take a look at the rest of our sideboard. 3 Command and Conquers for additional poppers, as well as it just being a really good card. You can replace these with Humble, Erase Face, any of those other options if you don't have CNC, but this is the strongest option. And as well as into Dromai, we just stack our sword for free anyway. So your choice of if you want to pop their dragons versus swing into their dragons is up to you. I like having them in case, but do know that our matchup into Dromai is actually fine because we can just infinitely stack the Stoneblade against their dragons. They have to play it a lot differently. 3 Oasis. I have played this card so much recently that I have just loved this card. It's an insane effect that just gives you so much extra health, and you need it for Wizard. You need it for... I played it into Guardian. I've played it into Ranger, Azalea. This card just fits the bill. This list, you might not need it into that Guardian and Ranger matchup. I've been playing this in Rhinar, and I don't play Unmovable in that list. I already made that list for my pre-Heavy Hitters Rhinar. Because this list has Steelblade Shunt for those physical matchups, but Oasis is just such a strong card. You could go to 2 if you wanted and add something else, but I have been loving 3 in most of my decks. 3 Sink Below because it's just a good 4-block D-React. We don't have any D-Reacts in the main board. Any matchup we think we need them, or just a 4-block card, Sink Below is your card. And then finally, Steelblade Shunt is a 1-cost 6-block that if we defend a weapon, we do 1 to the attacking hero, but that will really always happen. It's just here for a 1-6 that lets us protect ourselves from bigger attacks or strong hit effects from things like Azalea or from Bravo. With all that, that's going to be the end of the video. We've been seeing a lot of new cards from heavy hitters, so I hope we get something for Dorinthea. Of the 3, I don't think of the 3 pre-heavy hitters videos I did, I don't think Dorinthea is the worst hero. I think she's pretty good. Bravo's definitely the best of the 3, and they really need to give Sun to Brute, and from what I've seen so far, they definitely have. So hopefully with Olympia and Kasai, maybe some of their cards get slid into this Dorinthea shell, and maybe she gets to overperform, because I think Dorinthea's game plan is very, very good. It's just she can get outraced by some of the other decks. Although, with strong cards like Glistening Steelblade and Steelblade Supremacy, I don't know how much longer those aggro decks can choose to not block you if she gets an extra tool to help her. But with all that, I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.